Boris Johnson could face a vote of confidence in his leadership within days. And if he loses, he's gone. Out as Tory leader and, of course, out of number 10. But are there really enough Tory MPs who are that eager to get rid of him that they can get such a vote over the line? Here's how the numbers shake out. Of course, by now, we all know that it takes 54 letters to the 1922 committee chair Graham Brady to trigger the vote. And you get the sense that he rather enjoys being the only person in the world who knows for sure what that number is. So I wouldn't count on knowing much in advance when that threshold's about to be met. But once it has been met, usually within a day or so, the party holds a vote of MPs. Now, mathematically, Boris Johnson should see off any vote like that without much of a problem. Here's why. Including himself, Boris Johnson has 138 Tory MPs on what's called the government payroll. Now that means they're either ministers, whips, or parliamentary private secretaries. They're the bag carriers, the junior MPs who are on the ladder up, who are assistants to more senior ministers. Now to cling on, Boris Johnson needs the votes of 50% of his MPs plus one. And there are 359 Tory MPs, which means he needs 180 MPs to back him in total. So if you subtract 138 from 180, you get left with 42 backbench MPs who aren't already on the payroll, who he needs to convince to back him in order to scrape through. However, it wouldn't be British politics without an element of chaos, and there are a number of other factors that come into play. First, there's a bunch of extra weird jobs that Boris Johnson can give out. People who don't really count as payroll, but might be enough to convince an MP to be kind to him. I'm thinking particularly of the dozens of Prime Minister's trade envoys. Secondly, a lot of what has kept Boris Johnson in place up to now has been the abject lack of an obvious successor in the Conservative Party. And that might make MPs think twice before ousting him at this point. On the other hand, it is a secret ballot, so there's every chance some of the payroll, maybe one or two ministers who fancy their chances at replacing Boris Johnson, might vote to get rid. And then there's the theory that a lot of Tory MPs, a growing number of Tory MPs, are starting to think it might be best if they just lost the next election, so they can refresh the party, have a rethink and a rebuild. If you ask me, every Tory MP who thinks that is making a calculation. They're trying to think of a way for the party to lose without them personally losing their seat. And ousting Boris Johnson, who is pretty unpopular in some of these places, without an obvious successor, so a placeholder, might be just the ticket. Now, cast your minds back to December 2018. Theresa May's just survived a confidence vote by 200 votes to 117. That's a majority of 83, meaning she was safe from another challenge for at least a year. But there's always a but. She came under obviously huge pressure over Brexit, over all sorts of things in the following months, and she resigned of her own accord the following May. However, number 10 wants to spin this, and even if he wins, a vote of confidence in Boris Johnson's leadership would not be the end of his problems.